you can let more people in as we go here.
Okay.
But it's past 12:30, so I'm going to get started here. So I will open here since I'm in my beautiful red t-shirt here. Not my background, this is my foreground today. So everybody, welcome to our very first edition, our live stream of What Keeps You Up at Night, entrepreneurship during challenging times. The reason we put this together is I heard a lot of feedback from entrepreneurs, the good, the bad, what's stressing them out, what's freaking them out, what's exciting them. So we said, let's make a show about that. So I reached out to my friends Reza V and also Maryam, who is, oh, you can see her face there. She's the co-host on Thursdays with me here too. That we said, hey, let's put a show together here. 2 guests, half an hour, and find out what's going on. So today we are very lucky to actually have Valerie Song with Ava Technologies, and also our good friend Chin, who has spent years where we first knew each other with Spring Activator, and is now actually working in his own entrepreneurial startup world with ClassyNarwhal, and he's focusing on empowering people and organizations with soft skills. Hopefully that was the right elevator pitch. He can elaborate on that a little bit more. But before we get started here with Reza grilling Val, what's going on in her world with Ava Technologies, I want to hand it over to Reza first to introduce himself and tell us a little bit of what he's doing in the entrepreneurship space.
Hi, everyone. My name is Reza V. I'm the founder of OVU. You can learn more about me by scanning this code, and you can reach out to me whenever you'd like, if you'd like to know more about me. And I am, I just recently launched my startup, and I met Colin through startup events, and I'm honored to be part of this show. I'm co-hosting on Tuesdays. We thought we're going to do a very fun lunch break type of conversation, and the donations are going to a very good cause. You can read about it on Eventbrite. I'm honored. Thank you, Colin.
Yeah, Reza, absolutely. And to that point, these shows are free to sign up on Eventbrite, as we mentioned, every Tuesday, every Thursday at 12:30. We will be here for a half an hour with you. And the organization that we are supporting is called jack.org. So it is voluntary. Some people have donated, almost raised $100 so far for this particular show. So jack.org is a nonprofit organization that empowers young people as advocates and ambassadors in support of mental health awareness for youth. So great cause all across the country. So we're looking to support them. So to get it started here, I am going to hand it over to Reza V to introduce Val and take it away. And before we do, sorry, one more thing, just so everybody that's out there, we're going to have a chat for about 7 minutes. And he's going to lead that up. And then we're going to open it up for questions. You have any questions for Val about Ava, about what's going on there? We will do that. So about 10 minutes with Val and Reza, then I'll jump on myself with Chin, and then we'll wrap it up. So take it away, Reza.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Colin. And yes, during the conversation, jump in the chat and join us. It's an interactive conversation. Val, thank you for being here today with us. I'm very excited. This is a very small world. I met Val in 2017. I was taking a course in Langer College, and there was a project that I had to work on, financial projections for Ava Grows. And my project, I had to do a presentation for Val. And back then they were just doing the Indiegogo campaign. And 3 years later, they came a long way. It's crazy. Val, the question is, what keeps you up at night right now? And also, sorry, my bad. Introduce yourself first. Colin, you're putting me on the spot. Introduce yourself first for the people that don't know you, and then I ask you that question.
Got it. Thank you, Reza. It's great to see you again. Definitely a small world. Again, my name is Val. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Ava Technologies. I'm sitting here on my patio so I can enjoy the outdoor air as I've been cooped up inside. But if for those of you who don't know Ava, we make smart indoor gardening technology to help people get growing, whether or not they're beginner gardeners or they're master gardeners, or maybe they don't have enough space to grow a garden, or maybe they want to grow inside all year round. It's a really easy to use device that helps people grow all year round. Hi, Nicola. So what keeps me up at night? So many things. Currently, it's been supply chain, and my heart, first of all, goes out to everyone who's been greatly affected by COVID-19. I will say that our issues with COVID-19 are minimal compared to, you know, the people who are putting themselves at risk, frontline workers, as well as people who are affected, like the restaurant and tourism industry. So first and foremost, heart goes out to them. For us, it's been supply chain issues, much like other companies that carry inventory. Our manufacturing and the throughput of the inventory that's going out, even though we're at such high demand right now, has actually decreased significantly. So we were supposed to have 400 units by last month. We've had 100 of those 400 units. On top of that, we had to put on our own staff. So basically my co-founder and I go into the office to fold boxes, to do the QA testing, final packaging, everything like that. So it's been a struggle from an inventory supply chain perspective, and that definitely keeps me up at night.
Wow, I can only imagine what sort of a decisions you guys have to make during COVID, and these are tough decisions that you have to make on the spot. How do you go about making such decisions? For example, your supply chain, changing your supplier, or whatever that you're dealing with. How do you keep yourself calm, collected to make the right decision?
Yeah, so I think that's the benefit of having a really strong team. We're really lucky at Ava to have an Ava family, and every decision that we make, we can really trust each other with a lot of things. So my co-founder and some of our key hires, they reacted really, really quickly when it came to hearing that our manufacturers announced their sharing program with reduced hours. We reacted almost the same day to start setting up our own office in Gastown, like a tiny office, and change it to a manufacturing line. So it just transformed. We moved all the tables. We just did more, it took more action than thought about it or strategized about it, and figured it out along the way. So having a great team and moving quickly, taking action, those are all steps that we took to get here.
This is why we love entrepreneurs. You put a story up on Instagram on how fast you can actually package one of your products. How fast was your record on that?
So our packaging has about 7 pieces. At some point we got to about a second per piece, maybe a couple seconds on the more complex pieces. So
Valerie, can you repeat
so
that? You just got caught up.
Yes, no problem. So in the beginning, it took us like a couple minutes to figure out each piece. Out of the 7 pieces, on average, it takes about 2 seconds to complete each piece now, but with a lot of paper cuts.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. And were you guys prepared for COVID, you think, or was it complete shock? I could only imagine COVID is helping you guys to sell more units, and more people are getting into indoor gardening and growing their own vegetables.
Yeah, so I was actually born on the island of Taiwan, and Taiwan previously was hit really hard by different pandemics. So in return for COVID-19, they were actually quite prepared early on. So I heard all about it from my family. We took action quite quickly, but I would say in terms of our organization itself, because we're a startup and we're pretty nimble and we already had remote working policies in place, it was a lot easier for us to transition into a full remote work situation. But I know for a lot of businesses that rely on foot traffic, that wasn't necessarily the case. So we're lucky in that sense.
Nice. I want to transition to Q&A, but before that, how can people learn more about you and Ava Grow?
Yeah, so if you would like to know more about me, you can find me on LinkedIn. I also wrote a Medium blog post. It's free, up for Startup Survival Guide for COVID-19. If you're looking for grants or personal support, feel free to check out that resource to figure out what works well for your business. And yes, our website is avagrows.com to learn more about our product itself.
So I'm posting all the links in the chat. And I just want to say that, you know, the article that you wrote was really helpful. So thank you for that.
No problem.
I'm just going to share everything in the chat. So
go ahead, put it in the chat.
There we go.
Colin, if you find a good question, we can have people do the questions. And
absolutely. So let you know, I just posted Val your LinkedIn connection there, so people can find you there. Also, I see that Maryam has already put a link to Ava Grows, so we got you dialed in there of what's going on. So going through, just ask here, I don't know, Maryam, have you seen any questions that have come through here right now?
Nothing, any questions?
No problem. Well, you know, also being a podcast host, I always have lots of questions, and I've known Val since, gosh, what is it? Was it 4 years ago or 5 years ago at that startup weekend at Vancouver, which was the birthplace of Ava Grows, where you did the first pitch, and I believe you won or came in second place in that.
I think it was almost 4.5 years ago now, or almost 5 years.
What a crazy journey you've had. So, and I've seen you and I have kind of, our planets have kind of collided orbits every year or so of seeing each other, but I've been following your journey. So just for all the new budding entrepreneurs out there, can you reinforce that how easy entrepreneurship is and that it is basically just a straight line, and just so they feel comfortable about that? Or no, joking, of course, which is, we want to keep this a little bit light, but maybe you could talk about that, because of course you've done the classic, as everybody does, it's like this, not like this. So maybe you can mention that as far as the resilience and what you've, you know, any struggles you perhaps had along the way.
Totally. I feel like entrepreneurship is kind of like getting hit down to the ground, hit in the face, down on the ground, and having to get back up every single time. And that happens so often. There's so many fires to burn all the time, some big, some small. For Ava itself, we came close to bankruptcy so many times and also gotten out of it so many times. So it's definitely a whirlwind and a really big roller coaster of emotions and of business progress. But it's definitely a really rewarding journey. And compared to the corporate world where I came from before, you have so much more of a possibility to make impact in your own direction with your own values as a moral compass. And that's something that I really value, being able to, you know, follow your instincts, choose your own team, and build your own path. That's something that you can't say for a lot of places you work at. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
I actually have a question for you.
I like this. We've gone from 2 hosts to 3 already, and it's just working. So go for it.
Great. I'm wondering, what does the future of Ava look like, and especially, you know, post-COVID? What are you envisioning? I love that. Did your units get bigger? It looks bigger, or was that always? I feel like you have a bigger size and a smaller size right now, or. And then also I'm wondering about vertical agriculture. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, so AVA actually stands for Automated Vertical Agriculture. The hope was always to start with byte and then move into megabyte and gigabyte. As a matter of fact, earlier this year, we talked to some name brand household appliance manufacturers, and we're hoping to partner with them to create larger units much faster than we could on our own. So that's from a hardware perspective, the landscape there. But being in hardware for a few years now, we realized that our strengths and the scalability is not necessarily in the hardware. It's actually in the software that we've built, as well as the plant science knowledge that we're accumulating. So the end goal is to become somewhat like a Kindle for plants. So there's a Kindle reader that can have ebooks be published through it, and you can read on your Kindle. For us, it's a device that can grow all sorts of plants, and we work with party nurseries to create those seedlings that are compatible with our garden. So imagine being literally able to grow any plant in the world in an AVA device. So that would be the long-term goal. Definitely come a long way. The device is slightly bigger, you're right, than our version 1. We are no longer selling our version 1, and actually it was quite a prototype size right now.
Wow, you're getting
we'll move on to large sizes. No.
You're getting caught off. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
No problem.
You're breaking up. It's okay.
How much did you hear? Should I repeat it?
Yes, please.
Yeah, go ahead, and then we've got one more question for you that I've got from Farshid here, and then we'll move on to our good friend Chin. So yeah, repeat that, Val, and then we'll throw one more question at you here.
Sounds good. I was just saying that for Bite itself, we have just one size. We're moving into larger sizes in a bit. When it comes to the actual plant science itself, we are actually working on an innovation. So it's actually a microgreen tray. It works with the same
Nice.
device. You swap out the tray to grow a whole new set of things. The next innovation after that, we're hoping will be mushroom trays. So yeah, just coming out with new plant science innovations every year.
I love it.
Nice. So
And
one more quick
what
question we have here from our audience here. Yeah, from Farsid. What was the best approach to market for some products like Ava? So perhaps you can talk about in your journey, what was the marketing thing that really worked, and perhaps a quick example of something that was a complete bust.
Yeah. So I would say something that was really helpful both for marketing as well as for fundraising was our crowdfunding campaign. Looking back, I probably would have done it differently and possibly raised more money from it. But at the time, we didn't have any money for ads, maybe like $10,000 or a few more than that for ads. And we spent that all really quickly, but it did help us raise, 135,000 USD in pre-sales. That crowdfunding campaign was really good in terms of visibility, building an email list. We ended up building about a 14,000 subscriber email list from that campaign. Indiegogo itself drove 40% of traffic and sales to our campaign. So it was a really good way to leverage someone else's platform to get really immediate results. In terms of right now going to market, I think there's so many unknowns. We were planning on going brick and mortar to launch with bigger retailers. And now, COVID-19 hits, there is no shopping at malls. What do you do? So we're shifting a lot of our focus onto e-commerce strategy. We're redoing our website on Shopify, adding a lot of plugins and integrations like financing. We're moving on to Amazon.com and .ca as well.
Good stuff.
Awesome stuff. I want to be mindful of the time as well. Find out more about Val, avagrows.com, as well as her LinkedIn, Valerie song. And Colin, you can take it from here and introduce our second guest.
Thank you, Reza. So we've had Chin waiting very patiently in the background here. Before I jump in with Chin, I want to say, because we want to keep this fun and keep it light, a little something I'm going to put out there too. Being an ex-keg waiter and singing lots of birthday songs, every single show, if it's your birthday today, at the very end, I will sing you happy birthday, keg style. So there you go. That's my gift to the world. So if anybody's birthday out there, put it in chat, and I'm gonna sing happy birthday to you. So that's my segue over to Chin Hing Chang, who saying your full name, I'm not even used to it. I've just called you Chin for years, man. It's like, so done great work with many places, but especially with Spring Activator, where I really got to know you and the impactful work you did there, Chin. And of course, now with what you're doing with ClassyNarwhal. So rather than me describe that, Chin, jump in and tell us what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it.
Sure thing, Colin. Thanks for having me. First off, I hope someone has their birthday today, just so I can see you sing. But yeah, a bit about myself. I come from a heavy background in startup consulting. I used to work for Spring, which is a startup incubator accelerator here in Vancouver. Spring focuses on supporting social ventures. And I think in my journey, what's super interesting is I actually left Spring in January this year. So kind of right at the start of the COVID situation. So I'm pretty much starting this new company from scratch pretty much during the COVID time. So definitely what's keeping me up is having to navigate a lot of these changes in the market, as both unemployment changes and also education. Sorry, to take a step back, kind of what exactly am I working on?
Yeah.
The business that I'm working on is focused primarily on soft skill development. So what I'm passionate about is really helping both entrepreneurs and professionals pick up some of the more intangible things that you don't pick up in business school. Things like how to build your network, how to speak to investors, how to negotiate. So some of the more, I'd say, essential skills in life that are fairly transferable for everything. And when I started this, I started it actually last year in January, but I was working on it probably only a day a week since I was still full-time at Spring. But I left Spring in January, so now I'm full-time in on this, and a lot of things are changing in the marketplace. So the scariest part is probably looking at unemployment rates increase, trying to figure out how to adjust what the new market is looking for in terms of skills. And then on the education side as well, seeing the changes that maybe even a lot of larger educational institutions are struggling with where everything is moving online now. People are finding that they don't need to go to school per se. So how does that adjust? How do I need to adjust my offerings as well? So that's kind of the tricky piece.
Got it. So as you're making this transformation, this paradigm shift, I'd like to hear if you're doing that willingly, if you're finding this is something that now allows you to scale being virtual, or are you doing this kind of kicking and screaming a little bit here, where you started off just months ago where you were launching and you were doing, of course, in-person live events. And now, just like ourselves here, we're transitioning over to virtual. So how are you finding that as far as how you're presenting, even the level of engagement or the new things that you're trying to unlock new value in these times?
Slightly kicking and screaming, but I think I've been able to have the benefit of being super flexible since I'm super early along as well. When I came back to Vancouver in March, that was when the lockdown started to come into effect. So I had one large live event where we probably had about 150 people or so attend. And then that was probably the last event that I had, and I had to move everything off to online right away. So that was a big learning curve, but I think because I moved fairly early, that helped me with kind of picking up the ropes and also building a strong brand in the online space. So that's helped with building the audience. I find that online actually helps open a lot of doors for me. It's good on the marketing side, so it's made it a lot easier for me to acquire customers, but it has been challenging to monetize the audience. So I've been able to, open up my webinars to people in Vietnam, Madrid. I've had people from Jordan dialing in as well. So it's been a much larger audience, but definitely a bit challenging on the pricing piece.
Gotcha. And on that point, have you changed your pricing model or even your business model a little bit as far as getting people through the funnel and getting them to convert from live to virtual?
Yeah, great question. I won't claim to have an answer to this yet because I'm still experimenting. But the initial idea with in-person events is in-person is a lot easier to charge for events upfront, especially if you're doing workshops. And in-person, that is justified because there's costs related to venue, food and beverage, things like that. Moving online, everyone can get access to the same type of information online freely. So it has been a bit challenging. I've been experimenting with the donation model. And I've seen some fairly interesting different ways to position the donation. So I started off saying that events would be free, and then at the end of the event, I would put a call to action to pay what they think it's worth. And then after that, I've started to move now towards offering donations upfront, where they can actually sign up and register and donate at the same time. And what I'm going to experiment as a third phase is actually building donation into pricing. So what that might look like is, I might say that the event is $25 and half of it would be donated to this specific cause.
Right.
So that's, different ways that I've been kind of testing the giving model, because it looks like people are in the mood to give, especially given the current situation, but it is quite challenging to kind of price around that.
And speaking about events, here's your chance. I believe we're very timely here having you on because you have an event tomorrow night. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so tomorrow night I'm actually co-hosting with Startup Pro Enrichment. And it is actually quite relevant related to starting business and entrepreneurship. So we're actually talking about startup basics, the key things to watch out for, what mistakes people make, things like NDAs, non-disclosures, dealing with competition, dealing with differentiation, dealing with how to set initial pricing, things like that.
Got it. Good stuff. We will, if we don't have a chance to put that down in chat. Well, actually, it's yours. It's your event. You should be able to do it quicker than anybody here, Chin. Perhaps you can copy and paste and put that right. Boom! I can't even finish, and he's already done it. There we go.
Perfect.
Good stuff. So I have one last question. I want to turn it over to the audience and perhaps my other two co-hosts here. But I just wanted to ask you, Chin. And don't put a timeline in maybe 3 months, 6 months, 12 or 24 months, but do you really see an opportunity, even though what you're doing here in my mind is very high touch? Do you have the opportunity to scale this through automation and now having a virtual platform that may actually give you even a greater opportunity to do that? So what do you envision, let's say even 12 or 24 months from now with what you're doing? Where would you like it to be if in the best case scenario?
Yeah, things are actually looking on track despite the changes so far. Originally, the concern that I had was that what I was planning on doing is I do soft skill development and training primarily through the workshops and also through accountability groups that I run. And personally, I find, especially with the accountability group aspect, or also known as a mastermind, the best experiences are usually in-person experiences. Right. So I've really forced myself to reconsider that and decide on how I can create a great experience virtually as well. And I actually just kicked off the first meeting yesterday. We had 18 people in the group, which is actually a bit larger than what a normal group would look like. So we're probably going to split the group up into two. But what was interesting to see coming out of that is demand has been quite high. So I've had more than 30 people express interest in a group like this. So I'm starting a few different new groups as well. So, if anyone in the audience is looking for more accountability around setting new habits, then I'm happy to facilitate and help you, build some of those new habits or break some of your bad habits that are starting to form. Demand seems to be high. It seems to be a lot of fun. The group seems to be setting some really strong goals. So we'll see how things shape up. And then in the long term, I think the biggest challenge is probably figuring out how I can build and schedule my own working life around the different time zones, since now I'm working with people from all over the world now. So that's kind of fun.
I have a question, Chin. One of the biggest parts of events or even workshop is networking. Even if it's a workshop and I want to learn something, I go there to meet other people who are like-minded, and it's a very good place to meet and get to know other people in that circle. When it goes to virtual, how do you overcome that? It's very difficult on these Zoom calls to turn around and talk to people and get to meet.
Yeah, absolutely. The networking piece has been difficult for the online portion. One of the things that I do in my events to try to foster that or get people to talk a bit more is I have community announcements. So I actually open up and I set aside some time where people can actually spend about 30 seconds introducing themselves, talking about something that they're looking to learn. Maybe they're looking for a job, or maybe they're looking to share an event that they have coming up, things like that. So kind of making it more community driven rather than just me being the expert sharing my perspective. And then also trying to get people to share what they've learned in their context as well. So having more dialogue as opposed to just being a single speaker. So that helps a little bit, but I'd say that the experience is definitely quite different. Yeah.
Got it. Good stuff.
Chin, I have one question. I love how you're experimenting with different things and a lot of A/B testing. I'm wondering what your plans are with the soft skills and personal development group.
Yeah, so the idea is that the current focus right now, it seems to be around the habit piece, because especially with the work from home and how a lot of things are changing, people are having that need to fall into a new rhythm. So it's kind of helping them with that. And then beyond that, what I will plan to do is hopefully, if things go back to normal, if we can start to meet in smaller groups, then I will definitely revisit the idea of launching those personal development groups in person. If not, then hopefully I can take what I've learned from running the groups online to kind of create a better experience that will be virtual as well.
And one last question. Thank you for that. I see, do you find that Facebook is a good platform for that at the moment, or are you experimenting with other social media platforms?
I'd say it depends on where your audience hangs out. So not every company needs to have a Facebook page or Facebook group. Facebook is very community driven. It's very much on a personal level. So what I find so far is my Facebook engagements have not been picking up too much traction. My LinkedIn posts, LinkedIn articles, LinkedIn events tend to be working a lot better. Facebook tends to be working pretty well with the community group that I've started. So I've created a group that's not branded around my company, but it's more about people sharing resources related to soft skill development and personal development. And that seems to be, running along.
Great.
Good stuff. I know we're at the top of the hour here. We're at 30 minutes, but we can run over a couple. It isn't like we're a television show. I just want to put it, Maryam, have you been looking through the feed with chat? Does anybody have any questions?
No, there are no questions.
Okay.
But
Is it anybody's birthday?
Yeah, anyone's birthday?
No one's birthday? All right, we'll save it for the next one. I'll eventually sing happy birthday for someone, but we'll save that for another time. So why don't we wrap this up on time here? Maryam, you wanted to say a few things, a shout out to all the frontline workers here that are, of course, doing amazing work here. So I'll leave that to you, and then Reza and I'll close after that.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that we're really grateful to the people serving on the front lines of COVID-19 and essential services. So our healthcare workers, first responders, grocery store clerks, and postal employees and delivery drivers, and many more. And I especially like to thank all of you who have complied with social distancing protocols in spite of all the emotional, mental, and physical pain that you might be going through right now, struggling with. And I really, really appreciate everyone who have stayed home so that we're not overloading our healthcare center. So I'm really grateful to all of you and thank you so much. Just wanted to put that out there and we'll do our best. Sorry, physical distancing, my bad. Yeah, not social distancing. Thank you for that correction. That's what I meant to say, physical distancing. Definitely connecting socially is important for mental and emotional health. So thank you for that, please.
Absolutely. Maryam, thank you for sharing that. Reza, any last words here on our first show?
This is our first show. Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Startup Vancouver and Startup Canada, to help us reach our audience. We want to have a very interactive conversation during lunchtime, very short, 2 entrepreneurs, maybe 3 at a time, and interview them quickly and really, get the mood up and get the energy up before you guys go back to work. So join us every Thursday and every Tuesday and Thursday, 12:30 to 1 o'clock. And you guys can be part of it. You can ask questions and also send us a message on who you want to see next and what type of questions you want us to ask.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And both Reza and myself will continue to grow our ridiculous COVID hair. Maryam is disqualified because her hair looks fantastic here. It's like you're not in the competition here anymore. You're out. Yeah, you have too much shine and bounce there in that hair. It doesn't look like you have any COVID problems at all with that mane of yours. And on Thursday, we do have a couple of guests with us, of course, and looks like we're going to have Angie Schick, who is the managing director of New Ventures BC, talk about the competition there. And also my good friend Rivers Corbett, who was on the board of directors of Startup Canada, that has his own startup at the moment. So he's going to be coming to us from New Brunswick, so across the country. So this is truly a national endeavor here. So thank you everybody for joining us here. We had over 23 people on today. That was amazing. Thank you to those who donated to jack.org. We really, really appreciate it. And stay safe, and we'll see you on Thursday. Take care. Bye for now.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Professor. Bye.
Bye. See you. Good to see you.
Thanks all.